Boom! Hey everybody, we're back with another interview today. I'm Kieran Murray. I think you probably know that. And you probably know my guest in the car, Mr. Jake Weidenbach. So we're just at the casino now. We're going to pull out, take a little tour around Lakewood while I grill Big Jake on a few things. Let me make sure I'm not going to crash here on the way out.
This is a nice car. You don't want to crash this.
Yeah, so here's the funny part. I was just thinking about this on the way over. So we're gonna do an interview with Big Jake. Oh, I hope this guy doesn't block me in this big truck. We're gonna do an interview with Big Jake, talking about cars he sells in a car he sold us.
I love it.
How does that make you feel? Is that kind of weird?
It's kind of cool. I mean, it is weird, but I dig it.
I dig it. So while we're waiting for this big truck to back in, Cisco truck, gonna drop off some foodstuffs here. Tell us about you, Jake. So what do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm an automotive professional. Have been for 10 years now. But let's back up a little bit. Coming out of high school, I went right into the Marine Corps. I was an anti-tank missileman in the infantry. And I thought that was going to be my 20-year career. See the world and blow stuff up and play with all the cool weapons and all that. And the Marine Corps was an awesome experience. Huge part of who I am comes from it. But I decided to just do a 4-year term and move on and be a civilian. And, I didn't really have a plan B put together when I got out. I just kind of was like, oh, well, I'm going to go try my luck as a civilian. And took a little while to get going. I've tried a lot of different career paths, been a personal trainer, I've bartended, I've spent a little time in the title and mortgage industry, but the best fit for me by far has been the car business, because deep down I've always been a car enthusiast. When I was a little kid, that's kind of how I bonded with my dad. My dad was always a gearhead. He always had a Corvette or a Mustang. And when I'd hang out with Pops, we would cruise around in his cool car, blasting rock music, and I would read all his car magazines on his coffee table. So,
right on. So I'll back up too. So for people that don't know, so here's how this works: is Jake's created an awesome story in Ignite You with his networking success. So we're putting people in the car. We've had Angie Witten, Kern Dillard, Jim Margison, Gil Quante, and now our fifth installment of the interview process day with Big Jake here. And so how it works is that we have with no script. So I'm going to ask the questions, and Jake doesn't know what they are, which also means he doesn't know how he's going to answer them. Except, here's what I know about Jake. Jake is a monster planner. And so he thinks about things way far in advance to plan things. And so, so he's been watching these interviews, and so he knows kind of the gist of the questions I'm going to ask, and he's been prepping for them. I know he's been prepping. I know.
I swear.
You have too. You're lying to me because last week, the week before, you told me about some things that you wanted to cover,
okay.
And I was like, okay, Jake's planning for this stuff, so. So there might be some things where Jake has kind of thought a little bit of this out, and he wants to be able to share some cool stuff with you, which is very cool because he's got some great nuggets, I know. But I like that. But I really didn't. No, you really did. He stays up at night, I'm sure, and goes, okay, when Kieran asks me this is what I'm going to say. And so this is really funny. So that place right there, it used to be a little grocery store. It used to have a little coffee shop out there. It was the first place that one of the first places that I ever had espresso coffee. I don't know why I thought I should tell you that. We just drove by it and I just thought I should tell you.
It's awesome.
So in case you're ever driving down this road, and you want to tell someone, hey, that's the place where Kieran had some of his first espresso.
I'll do that.
Okay, so
I'm still working on that autograph for Jay Buhner from you.
I'll get you an autograph today so you can give it to Jay.
He's asked me about it.
We're also going by, for anyone that wants to know, we're driving by Mountain View Funeral Home, which is members of Ignite You. They're like the second oldest business in Lakewood. I don't know who the number one is, but they're number two. They've been around for a long time. Pretty cool place, actually. I've been through some different events there. So, hey, let's get back to Jake. So, I'm going to ask him the questions, and he's going to answer them. and we're going to have a good time. We're on our way over to Classy Chassis right now because we're going to take Jake through the car wash, show him how we keep the car clean.
You do keep this car clean. I'm impressed. Good job.
We keep this thing clean. We go through the car wash every time we're around Lakewood. So, when you joined Ignite U, matter of fact, how long ago did you join Ignite U?
I joined, it was the last week of March.
Last year. So you're not even on a year yet.
Right.
So we're in February. We're just about 10, you just passed 10 months, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay, so did you, prior to joining Ignite U, did you have any, now you had car experience, you were selling cars, did you have any networking experience at all?
Not with any organized, no networking organization. I've networked to my inner circle, my family and friends. Over the years, I've sold a lot of cars to my family and friends, but I've never really stretched out beyond that.
But you never had, so you never belonged to a group like Ignite U
No.
or a Chamber of Commerce, anything like that?
No.
So how did you find out about Ignite U, by the way?
Well, I had a very humbling experience my first few weeks at Northwest Motorsport. Like I said, I've been in the car business 10 years, and I'm used to being one of the top guys at the store. I've always been one of the hardest working guys, most knowledgeable on my products, and I like to treat people the way I would want to be treated, and that's given me a decent amount of success in the car biz. But when I got to Northwest Motorsport, it was very eye-opening and humbling because the level of competition was so much greater. It's like there's 105 salespeople there, and they're all good. Northwest Motorsport does not hire rookies, and if you're there to sell 7-8 cars a month, you just won't make it. You'll be gone pretty quickly. So it's a competitive environment, and my first few weeks, I was just like, whoa. I felt like a golden retriever in a yard full of pit bulls. I knew that I needed to do something outside of the box, something different. And in the past, I had managers say that to me, try some outside things. And that message really echoed in my head the first few weeks at Northwest Motorsport. So I just Googled business networking, and Ignite U popped up.
So you found us on the internet?
Yep. I swapped a couple emails with Sherry and just came to a meeting, and I just saw an opportunity. I mean, it was a cool atmosphere. And
how did you know to even Google business networking? I mean, so did you know about it? You just hadn't done any of it, or?
I had heard about it before. I'd heard that other people in different industries talking to customers that they network, realtors and mortgage people that I've sold cars to. So I knew it existed. I just had no idea how it worked.
Okay. And so you came to a meeting, obviously, the end of March last year. Did you, when you came in, what was your initial thoughts? You'd never been to a networking event before. What were your thoughts coming into the room at Ignite U?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty good crowd. I would have to say it was probably 80 or 90 people. I think it was a Tuesday. And it just seemed like an opportunity. I mean, there's no way I could ever put myself in front of 80 people even in a week or even a month at the dealership. So
ding, 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 ding. There's the first one. There's the first nugget right there out of many nuggets to come. So there wasn't an opportunity to put himself in front of 80 or 90 people at his location where he was working. But when he comes to an Ignite U event, he can do it, and he can do it every single time he's there. He can do it twice a week at this point because we have Tuesdays and Fridays. Huge nugget, gang, huge nugget. He couldn't put himself in front of that many people just sitting in his office. Wow. Okay, big one. Next thoughts?
Yeah. So I mean, it was it was pretty warm, inviting environment, and there was, I'm not gonna say desperation, but I needed something. I needed something different. I needed to swing the odds in my favor, because, like I said, it's a really competitive sales environment at Northwest Motorsport. You got guys that call cars that are still driving down the street. I've never done that before. You got guys that sit with their finger on the phone button and intercept every incoming phone call before.
Wow.
I just was like, wow.
They're pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it's hardcore.
So now that you've been around for, and I know when it started, this is kind of funny just watching your progression, and I know when you started, there was that anticipation that things were going to happen pretty darn soon, and I know that's what your boss was expecting as well. And so tell me about that. You came to me and we talked about a conversation that you and your boss had, and then I'll never forget, we went off on the side and we talked, and it was kind of like a mini boot camp.
Yeah.
We talked about some ideas. We'll talk about that in a second. But what was that conversation you had with your boss, and that was about how many months into it was that?
So it was an ongoing conversation with my boss. First of all, I had to convince him to let me miss 2 hours of work twice a week to go to these things, and then obviously there's an expectation there for results. I was, spending my own money to make marketing materials and flyers, and I actually got the marketing team to give me some stuff to hand out, and it seemed like every time I come back, like, oh, did you get a lead, or do you have a deal working? And I didn't really know how to answer that. I believed that I was part of something that was going to lead to business. I just didn't know what a realistic timeline was to expect it. Anyway, so yeah, I was under a lot of pressure. I needed to have a tangible result, and I had been coming now for 3 months when we had that discussion and hadn't sold a car yet. I'd started to make, before I ever made a single dollar at Ignite You, I probably spent $1,800 of my own money on stuff at Ignite You.
You mean with other, not with Ignite You, but with other people in Ignite You, their services?
Buying services from people, and it's money I was
going to say, why did you spend $1,800 with me, pal?
No, but I took some money out of my 401k to move up here.
Okay.
And so I had, enough to get me by for a couple months, but it's money I really shouldn't have been spending. But I saw value in some people's services that they, I just figured, I can't expect people to buy something from me if I'm not willing to buy something
so
from
you
someone
came
else.
in and you started supporting other businesses in the group at your tables. You get to know them, find services that you thought you would be able to use, and you started doing business with them.
Yeah.
First, another nugget, gang. That was a good one. So I like what he said. I couldn't expect them to do business with me if I wasn't going to do business with them. Nugget number 2, that was a good one. So a lot of people come into a networking group and just think it's all about how many leads and referrals I can get, how much business I can get. And they don't do any referrals themselves, and they don't do any business in the group, but they want it all for themselves. So in his first 3 months, 4 months, whatever it was, he had spent about $1,800 with other members using their products. I think that's a huge one. I'm not telling everyone they have to go spend a bunch of money and use other people's products, but if you can use another member for their services versus someone not in the group, it's going to pay off in the long run big time. So, okay, keep going.
Okay, so we're now at 3 months, and I'm really feeling the heat.
Sweating it.
Yeah, my first 2 months at Northwest Motorsport were my worst 60 days that I've ever put together in my 10 years in the car biz. I sold 7.5 cars my first month, and only 8 or 8.5 my second month, and that just doesn't cut it at Northwest Motorsport. And I actually overheard a conversation. I was coming around the corner, and my boss was talking to my buddy Josh, the one that I actually trained years ago in the car business, and he's become a very good salesman, and he's actually now a manager at Northwest Motorsport. That's how I came to find out about the place. I come around the corner and I hear my boss say, "I thought you said this guy could sell cars. What's his deal?" And that stung a bit. I take pride in being a performer and doing well at my job, and yeah, that hurt my feelings, and it upset me too. And I remember it's maybe the next day I come into Ignite You, and Kat and Sarah, love you ladies, they could see I had stress on my face. They both come up, give me a hug, and they're like, "What's wrong, hon?" And I kind of told them, I said, "I think the plug is going to get pulled on me here at networking. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this without a result." And they said, "Just let's get together after the meeting." So the meeting is over, and they bring me over to you and Tim Cross, and we have a little like discussion over in the corner, like a little mini boot camp. And the thing comes up. I get told, like, okay, your attendance is great. You're coming. You know, people are starting to get to know who you are. Let's figure out a way for you to do something for other people. A way for it to not just be like, hey, you know, come buy a car from me because I'm a good dude and I got cool cars, but something that you can do for someone else and expect nothing in return. So Kat and Sarah sit me down at a table, and they have someone walking by hold their cell phone and say, hey, we're going to do this little video real quick. So I'm sitting in between them, and they, like, you know, just being the fun personalities that they are, they, hey, we're here at Ignite You, meeting cool, fun people like this guy Jake. If you need a cool vehicle, hit him up.
So hold on a sec, hold that thought. So right now we're going through the car wash of Classy Chassis, and I know here in a second you're not going to be able to hear us, so I want to make sure that you're able to hear Jake, because we got this thing that's going to hit the roof here in a second. That one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Vegas coming through Classy Chassis, all the cool lights and stuff. All right, Jake, so they took you aside, they did the video thing, talked about the video.
So the video was cheesy, but, I mean, Sarah tags me in this video, and all day long I see notifications popping off. People are watching this thing, and then the next day Sarah sends me a screenshot. It had like 349 views. And I'm like, what? 349 views? Again, I'm like, there's no way I could ever put myself in front of 349 people.
Nugget number, is that 3?
That's when the light bulb went off for me about video content. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna start putting video content out there on a regular basis and see what happens. So the idea of helping someone else and expecting nothing in return, Kieran helped me with the idea of inviting people for a tour where they get to like pick out a cool car and just come and have a tour of my facilities, and then do the little rolling interview that I do, kind of like what we're doing here.
So do you do that? Is it live, or do you record it?
I record it. I don't do it live because a lot of Facebook Live videos that I've watched, they get interrupted because of like the signal
coverage,
strength.
okay.
So I just want it to come across really clean and clear. And for me, the interaction that I see people interacting with this, which is cool. But yeah, I like to keep my thoughts straight and just like, you know, in one shot, get it out there and get it right. So
nice. So by the way, we just got done through Classy Chassis, and here's what they're doing. They're sponsoring this little bit of the car ride. They're giving Big Jake a coupon for a free car wash, courtesy of our friends at Classy Chassis. I'm going to give that to Jake. So
my car's dirty.
So you can bring that back, and what I'd encourage you to do is when you do, go live in the group and give a shout out to Classy Chassis. There's some awesome people. We love those guys. So, all right, let's get back to it. So you started doing these videos because that was the third nugget, gang. Was he realized he couldn't get in front of that many people. He was seeing 349 views. He couldn't get in front of that many people any other way. So number one was he realized he couldn't get in front of 80 to 90 people at a time sitting in his office. Right. I can't remember number two. I'll have to go back and
buying
watch.
things from
buying things from other people and supporting their business first. And number three, couldn't get in front of that many people without doing a video, which was hugely expensive. And then in that last 10 months, then, because that's been the part of it. You show up, you meet people, you support their businesses, and then you're putting out this video content in a number of different formats.
Yeah.
And that's been about it, right? I mean, there's no other magic sauce than that right there.
Right. I mean, so, you know, the attendance is obviously, you know, the attendance is like water. You need it to survive. Absolutely. You cannot survive without attendance.
So what would happen? What would happen if you stopped showing up to the Tuesdays and Friday meetings? What do you think would happen to your business?
I would see a regression, I'm sure, probably pretty quickly.
Okay. Even if you still did all the videos, but you stopped showing up at the meeting, you still think you'd see a downturn in the number of cars you're selling?
You know, I think I have enough of an online presence now where I could, you know, I mean, this summer, I'm just going to be real with you. I think the meetings are very important. There's going to be a time or two where I choose to go ride my motorcycle over Come to Ignite You. I got to do it once in a while to reset in here. But I think there's enough of a balance of online and attendance at the meetings to where, you know, I could, you know, miss a meeting once in a while and not be forgotten about.
Right. Yeah, it's. I think it's way different missing one once in a while versus missing them pretty much all the time.
Right, absolutely.
Because they're, you know, well, we always get people who, you know, after a year they want to cancel a membership and they're talking about, well, I didn't get anything out of it. It's like, well, like we just had some emails came through to cancel some memberships, and I actually had to ask Sherry, who is that? Because I didn't even know who they were because they've never shown up. Yet they want to complain that they never got anything out of it. Well, nobody would know who they are.
Right.
I'm kind of there every week, and I had no clue who it was. So absolutely, you know, take that time off and go refresh. And I know you'll have to go out for your bike rides and stuff. So tell me the results then. So that's your magic sauce, is showing up, and then your video content. That's been your big stuff. What's happened? Well, it would be happening in the last 7 months because you didn't make a sale in the first 3. But here's what I want to point out. So we could easily say this is how many cars Jake has sold in the last 7 months, but that's not the case. It is 10 months because it took 3 months to build up and create those relationships. You are not going to show up on day one and start selling anything. I don't care what it is, unless maybe it's, you know, hamburgers or something. Where you can, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, I want to eat that good food. It's just not going to happen. It takes more time than that. So, tell me what's happened in the last 7 months, but we're calling it 10.
Okay.
Last 7 months, how many cars have you sold?
We're at 58 now. And I'm working 2 referrals right now that within the next week could become, you know, I can't count your eggs before they hatch, but I have a couple, you know, referral deals that I'm working right now that could become deals. So,
58. So, here's what I really want to point out about that. We've had people in your industry, who said networking doesn't work, for your business and what you do. They flat out told me it doesn't work. This guy's going to lose his whatever
bumper.
And they've just said, nope, it doesn't work. And a matter of fact, we had someone in our group, there was a member before you, that worked on a lot. Actually, I bet it was within a half a mile from where you're at.
You know what I would say to that? My counterpoint to that statement would be, I see people at the gym every morning that are just there. I mean, good for being there, good on you. But, you know, if you're on the cardio machine on level 1, drinking your coffee, just going through the motions, you're not going to get much out of it. You know, there's people that show up to work every day, but they don't contribute to their job. So I think you get out of it what you put into it.
There you go.
You know, attendance is obviously ingredient number 1. But what are you bringing to the table when you're there? Are you trying to connect and plug into people and you know, figure out who they are? Or, you know, are you there spacing out, playing with your phone, and just waiting for your turn to talk?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So first, the other guy I was even just talking about that was like within a half a mile where you're at now, never sold a single car. And then canceled his membership after a year. But he also never showed up. I mean, like rarely ever. Didn't do any video type content, right? Didn't support any of the other businesses in Ignite You ever. So all those 3 things that Jake was just talking about that's helped him get to selling 58 cars, this guy did nothing and then also had nothing results. Sold 0 cars, but then want to talk again and go out and say, networking doesn't work for my business. Well, I beg to differ because this guy just proved you way wrong. So tell me, let's go back to what do you do when you're there at a meeting? So what do you see some things people may do that hurt their networking their networking efforts.
Okay, well, I'm not saying everyone should go out and buy a uniform to wear, but I do know that this makes me recognizable. I'm easy to spot. I'm easy to find. And there is a little bit of brand recognition that gets created with wearing a uniform. I also think there's some people that need to embrace sales. Eric Lawful, I pay attention to you, man. Embrace sales. Whether you like the idea of being a salesperson or not, if you're at networking, you're a salesperson. So embrace sales and work on your skills, because some of the presentations at the tables are just like, you know, okay, that's how you chose to represent yourself, cool, but I would definitely polish that up a bit. You know, and then I see some people trying to represent, you know, 2-3 different businesses. Sometimes that's confusing. I don't know. I would rather just be known as an expert at one thing than kind of dabbling in 3 or 4 different things. So those are some things that turn me off a little bit. And then, you know, when somebody starts talking about discounts, like unsolicited, like why would you ever bring up discount? I didn't ask you to lower the price of your product. Just build value in you and your service. I mean,
wow, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that discount mindset, I think, is toxic. It really is. I never bring up discount. I've never asked an Ignite You member for a discount on their service, because, you know, when value exceeds cost, a purchase is made. When
value exceeds cost, a purchase is made.
So I bought a pen from Vic's Wood Art. It was a Marine Corps pen. It's like a bullet casing, and it looks like it's a bolt action rifle. The second I saw that pen, I had to have it. And
no matter the price.
Whatever Vic had thrown out, like when he said $50, I was like, done. If he had said $100, that I would have had to have that pen. That pen is on my desk at work, and that's the pen that signs almost every car I sell. The dotted line gets signed with that pen. It's kind of a little ritual I've created.
Hey, I have an idea for you, maybe. What if, another way to brand yourself.
Okay.
What if you were able to get Vic to make you some pens that were your branded in your name and stuff? They were cool pens, and if he made more than a few, he could do some sort of a bulk thing for you, whatever. I don't know, but it was a pen that you were able to give your client when they bought a car. You gave them, you could even sign with that pen and then give it to them, but it had your stuff on it, so they could always refer, but they were always thinking of you when they're using that pen.
I love it. Vic, we got to talk.
That'd be kind of a really cool branding thing. Ooh, boot camp thing, boot camp. Let me ask you this while we're on it. I just said boot camp. We did a mini boot camp back 7 months ago in the room, and we went off to the side. We talked about some ideas, which the cool part was you did. I mean, you just jumped on it and you did it and you went crazy. And so all the things we've talked about, you've done. And then you had a chance last week. You actually came through a formal 3-hour boot camp.
Yeah.
What? Just give me your thoughts, your general thoughts on boot camp, what we did in boot camp, and if it's something that's valuable for other people to attend.
Okay, so boot camp.
Oh, by the way, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
No, I thought boot camp was awesome. I think boot camp gives you a really good inside look at, people's mindset and the feedback that Kieran and Sherry get about the group. There were a couple things that I was unaware of that, get reported to them, just as far as things that tend to bother people or people find a little unsettling, showing up late to the meeting and disrupting the flow at the table.
Because it's all about a perception thing.
Yeah, right? And perceptions are people's reality. And I remember one day I forgot the stack of business cards at the table, and it's not that I meant to leave them there, but it hurt someone's feelings, and I don't want to do that. I don't want people to have a negative perception. So yeah, you just have to be conscientious of how you conduct yourself at the meetings. And I think boot camp really gave me a good perspective on what other people think and what other people's perception of what goes on in the meetings are.
So it was definitely worth the price you paid for it?
Oh, absolutely.
That's free, by the way. So boot camp is all you got to do is just show up and have lunch at the casino when we're there. Support their business because they're in the business of being in business too. So we have a great time at the boot camps. It's really fun to be able to connect with everyone that comes through. And fortunately, I've been blessed to be able to over the last 10 months to be able to each time I'm around Jake, we kind of deepen this connection that we have. And what's really fun, here's one of my favorite things in the world. And I'm going to try not to get emotional about it while I'm sitting here driving because I don't want to crash. I don't want to sit here and cry or anything.
I won't let you cry.
But it was really, it was for me, it is exciting to watch someone who had zero networking experience come into the group and go through the process that he did where it was stressful for him. And when he was talking about it earlier, I don't think he could really convey how much stress was on him at that point, because it really was stressful for him, because he would come in and he'd talk to me about it, and I knew where he was at mentally. I knew it because I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. What normally happens in that case is those people don't do what Jake did, and they just back out and they give in. They quit. They stop. Jake believed in the process and said, "No, I'm going to be able to do this thing," and he just kept going and going and going. And has now turned that around to have some, in my opinion, some phenomenal success. So I love watching that where he came from. It was a stressful point because he had no idea necessarily what was going on and what to expect, to where he's at now. And the part that I get the biggest kick out of is when Jake has a landmark moment at work. Either maybe he has a meeting with his boss, and his boss is now, and I mean at the highest level. I'm not talking about like his immediate boss, but even it's that too. At the highest level, they are recognizing Jake for his networking acumen right now, his networking abilities, and the results that he is achieving. And now they're coming to Jake and talking to Jake about doing some bigger things, because they're saying, wow, we didn't really expect this. How can we invest more and have a bigger presence? And they're looking at Jake now as the go-to guy. So,
well, the marketing team pulled me into a meeting last week, and they looked at my business Facebook page. Now, this is per capita, so they have some analytics that they run where they can evaluate how a page is performing. And it's not necessarily how many people follow it, but when someone comes to your page, how much content do they interact with? Per capita, my page is smashing Northwest Motorsports business page. They didn't come right out and say that, but the writing was on the wall. So now they want to, get the marketing team behind me, and they want to get their page performing like mine is per capita. So yeah, it's cool. It's
so they've gone from putting the pressure on them, saying, when are you going to start performing, to now they're saying, well, how can we jump on the bandwagon with you and get better results for ourselves and for you? And now they're very supportive, which is very cool. And the part for me that is, it's kind of like Jake has been one of my networking children, and so I watched him where he came from. It was very stressful to now he calls me, and I love when Jake calls me or he sends me a message that he wants to talk, because I know 100% of the time in the last, I don't know how many months, this is how it's gone. He sends me a message, or he'll say, hey, I need to talk to you, and I'll call you. It's funny, Jake will rarely call me. He'll say, I need to talk to you, call me. And I'm like, dude, the phone rings, just call me whenever you want, So he calls me, and he gets all excited to tell me the story about how the meeting with the boss went on this one, and things are going in this direction, going crazy instead of going down. And I just I know he can't tell when I'm on the phone, but it's like one of your kids when they call and things are going right, and my heart is pounding and I'm all excited, and I'm just so stoked to watch him and what he's done. And then the cool part is being able to share his story with all of you guys, so that you can go, wow, here's someone who who didn't have that experience. And I think a lot of people, Jake, will look at you and they'll look at other people that we have, put in the car and done interviews with, and they've had the success with this networking thing. And I think there's a lot of people who will, in their brains, they'll say, what in the world is my excuse?
Right.
Why am I not having the results? And typically they'll do a deep dive into their own hearts and go, because I'm not doing the things that they're doing. I'm not showing up. I'm not putting out the content. I'm not making the connections. So I love watching you, but I also love watching how you inspire other people.
Well, thank you.
And I think that is just something big that we're just really excited that you are part of the family, and couldn't be happier to have you as part of this family for the last not quite a year. And we're hoping it's a 25-year plan.
Right.
So if you leave before that, I have to kill you. So because I just said all those nice things and how cool you are, and then if you leave, I just got to kill you.
So if anyone gets anything out of this video today, I just hope it's this. If you're gonna fail at something, I mean, I've failed more times than I can count, but lack of effort will never be the reason I fail at something. So don't fail because of lack of effort.
Right on.
It's just, if I'm gonna lose a fight, I'm going down throwing haymakers. That's just how I roll.
Right on. Hey folks, we're back here at the casino. We just backed in, so we've been out in the car for about 35-40 minutes. Wow, these go by so fast. It's just unbelievable. I know you guys got some great stuff out of this. This guy is, in my book, he's pretty darn amazing, and I'm looking forward to in this next year becoming even better friends and doing things that we didn't get to do this year. Last summer we were excited. Sherry and I bought a travel trailer to go out to some campgrounds, have a good time. We had Jake out and
it was a good time.
had cooked up some steaks and sat there on the water and just had a blast. And I'm looking forward to doing it again this year. So here's my tip for all of you. Watch this video again, because you're gonna hear some stuff a little bit differently, but you got to connect with this guy in the room if you haven't already. We'll put this stuff up. Can we put this up on YouTube?
Yeah.
So we'll put this up on YouTube so that you can share this out to to your people in your networks on Facebook. The cool part is we're having people who are watching these out on YouTube from people sharing them, and they're coming back and they're wanting to join our group because they're like, wow, these are inspirational interviews with guys like this, and I can see people they're commenting, Michael and Zach and Steve, how inspirational it is to be able to listen to them. And so let's just let's share this with the world and get it out there that people are doing some really cool things in Ignite You. You need to connect with them. I know he likes to go have a cocktail or a beer, because I see him posting pictures of it
once in a while.
Great place for a one-on-one, but if you get a chance, don't miss it. Go hang out with him and just do what Jake does. So for everybody else, thank you guys. We're going to see you inside in the casino in just a few minutes. We're going to go set up. I'm going to crank the music, and we're going to do this thing. So happy Tuesday, everyone. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, real quick, this success stuff that we're talking about, this guy, I owe most of it to him and Ignite You and the people that I've met in Ignite You, because synapses are firing in my brain now that never were before, and it's because of the creative energy from the cool people I've met at Ignite You.
Rocket, folks. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.